I am from Argentina. I grew up during a military dictatorship. I was in my teens. I was about 11 years old when the military coup took place, and I grew up in a very restricted environment as far as schooling, etc. I came to the US as a foreign exchange student when I was 17 and discovered the difference between the information being given to people in a free world versus the information being given to people during a dictatorship. The difference in information, the difference on what was going on. That started spiking my interest on seeing and understanding the differences in how people live. At that time, Argentina was losing people left and right. Many people were being killed by the military dictatorship and disappearing. I entered medical school through a hunger strike. At the time of my application to medical school, many people were trying to get in, and very few were being selected after taking tests, etc. There was this sense that there was a need to change the rules on the entry process into medical education, and it was one morning, I was one of the students that had started taking classes as an auditing student, having not been entered medical school. That was in 1983 and early 83, still during the military dictatorship, and several student leaders starting to be politically active within a country still during the dictatorship came to say, we're going to march to the chancellor's office and we're going to protest, request change in medical school admission so more people can enter medical school. The number of doctors at this point is not sufficient. We're not serving the underserved. I entered medical school post-dictatorship, and what was very interesting to me during that process is that I was learning a lot. I had really an excellent education, but at the same time there was a mistreatment of women that was really, really marked. Being told that, I will never forget being told, what do you pretend being a woman? Because I had said that I was going to take this one anatomy exam as an auditing student, and nobody had ever passed that, and I did. And then being told that I didn't belong in certain settings, or during my ear, nose, and throat exam, the professor yelling at me, tell me how you cry, as a way of sharing the physiopathology of cry, which was obviously a way of belittling my actions as a student. At the same time, I was coming into the US to do, I started coming to the US during my summer vacations to do rotations, and my American family, I had been a foreign exchange student in the US. My American family, Dee Wells from Mount Prospect, Illinois, my American mom started making connections for me to do rotations. And at an emergency room rotation in Arlington Heights, Illinois, at Northwest Community Hospital, I encountered emergency room, the variety. I love the variety and the diversity of people we saw, of all ages, etc. But I couldn't live with not being able to see what had happened to them afterwards. And Dr. Stanley Zillow, who was the director of the emergency room and the emergency medical services in Chicago at that time, said to me, you will be a great family physician. And so I asked what was family medicine, and he told me. And I fell in love with the idea of taking care of people through their lifetime and being there for them and being able to do both advocacy and caring for babies and caring for moms and delivering their babies and doing all of that what family medicine entails. And I also realized there was a dramatic difference between how I was being treated in my country of origin, being told that I shouldn't aspire to certain things because I was a woman, versus people in the United States who were telling me that they wanted me to choose to move to the US because they needed more women doctors. So I started having a great population of Latinos, and always thinking, I'm an immigrant. Do people who are not Latino like me? There were immigrants that were professors in different colleges in the Chicago area will come and chose to see me, even though they knew I was a resident in training, because like a professor said to me once, Doctora, el lenguaje del corazón, the language of the heart, y el lenguaje del dolor, and the language of pain has to be spoken in one's own native language. So to me, I knew I had a role with immigrant communities that spoke Spanish. The biggest surprise happened to me when I started taking care of a retired orthopedic surgeon. As American as he could be, many generations of Anglo, English-speaking families, last name Smith. He was just this wonderful guy, retired orthopedic surgeon. And I was an intern and I became his family doctor. I was taking care of him and his wife. And I will never forget the day I had admitted him to the intensive care unit with a gastrointestinal bleed. He was really sick, and I had called for a GI consult for him to be seen. And a gastroenterologist shows up in the intensive care unit, and I hear him say through the curtain, he didn't know I was sitting right next to him room, and he goes, wait a second, there's my family doctor, Dr. Martinez, know you're here. Because if she doesn't approve of you being here, I don't want you seeing me. Only if she says so, I will be okay with seeing you. And it was this amazing moment when I realized I had actually arrived, I had actually earned the respect of somebody who was not only non-Latino, he was a retired professor of orthopedic surgery who really believed in my care for him. That made me realize, oh my God, I can contribute not just to the Latino community in the US or the most vulnerable community to the US. I can actually contribute in the care of somebody who has everything else. As immigrants, we're watching you to learn from you. We're seeing the things that you do. We are adapting our ways to fit in, to blend in. And at the same time, with us is all of this other portion of who we are. And I will always cherish having been included in amazing communities of colleagues. Sorry. I will always cherish having been included in amazing communities of colleagues that have given me tremendous opportunities to grow professionally, to grow clinically, who had challenged me, and I know I have challenged them.